Hi everyone, welcome to this channel. Today I'm sharing with you my top 10 fragrance discoveries of the year of 2024. These were 10 fragrances that absolutely stole the show, stood out to me, really captured my attention, and I'm looking forward to sharing these discoveries here with you. If you're interested in seeing the Middle Eastern version of this video, because I did have several Middle Eastern fragrances that totally blew me away. I have already filmed and published a top Middle Eastern fragrance video for 2024 that's already out and available on my channel, so be sure to check that one out if you're interested in some more affordable options. But today's video is going to focus mostly on niche, but I do have mostly affordable niche items here, so I'm excited to share this with you. If this is your first time on this channel, hello, my name is Anya. I love fragrances. I talk about them here 5 times a week, Monday through Friday, and I also publish videos on TikTok and Instagram under the username ANECHKAFRAGRANCES. I also do have a podcast called The Fragrance Report. I do a new episode every single Wednesday, so be sure to follow it on Spotify. And I also publish experts or episodes from that podcast every Friday on my channel for you to listen to. So with that being said, what else? I am filming. This is the very first video that I'm filming in my new apartment. This is probably not the first time you're seeing this apartment because I would have already published my fragrance news video for this week by the time you're watching this, but this is my first video that I'm filming and recording in this new place. So excuse me if I seem a little bit different because I'm still getting used to the setup. This is obviously not the way it's probably going to look like moving forward, but I have to still film for you guys, even though I have no furniture. So yeah, but it's definitely a change. I'm looking forward to expanding my content, kind of being able to film more things instead of just fragrance, because a lot of you guys have asked me about beauty things, and I personally want to showcase some more lifestyle on my accounts. So I'm looking forward to exploring that a little bit more. So definitely look forward to that. I will say this year was actually the first year I started receiving PR. Previously I had not been receiving anything, but 2024 was the year I was able to start cultivating these relationships with brands, and as a result a lot of these fragrances were sent to me for free. However, of course, I'm going to continue to be very transparent with you about what fragrances were sent to me, but also what I think about them. A lot of these fragrances in front of me were sent to me. Some of them I actually did purchase with my own money. I do love all of them, but moving forward in 2025, whenever I do receive PR, sometimes I might not like it, sometimes I will like it, and even if I don't like it, I'll tell you this is what the fragrance smells like, this is who I think it'll be better suited for, things like that. So I try to be very transparent. I will continue to do that moving into the new year. Okay, so let's start off with a fragrance that I absolutely fell in love with last summer specifically, and this is Navitus Melon Kiss. This is a perfume that perfectly captures this photorealistic smell of a melon with some honey, coconut milk. This smells so good and delicious. Like, I love this perfume. To be honest, it continues to be my favorite Navitus fragrance so far, and I've tried just about most of them, but this is a really good one, especially if you're looking for something a little bit more unusual, because it's not often that we see melon fragrances on the market, and this is one that I really did enjoy. One of the reasons why I enjoyed this fragrance so much is because it was really easy to layer it with other perfumes, and that's exactly what I did. So the next 2 fragrances are going to be the fragrances that I was wearing with this one. I was honestly kind of wearing them interchangeably this entire summer, and I continue to still love these fragrances now. But this is the next perfume, Cherry Powder. So I was actually wearing a lot of these, or wearing this together a lot of the time. But Cherry Powder is a fragrance by J.U.S. It's one of the more affordable fragrances in this video because J.U.S. fragrances tend to run pretty affordable. So this was a pretty unusual take on a powdery perfume in that it smells like a baby powdered cherry, like a cherry flavored baby powder almost, and essentially it's supposed to have additional notes of like tonic accords and I think macaroons. I really do get a powdery cherry. If you don't like powdery perfumes, you might not enjoy this one, but I personally really loved it, and I made quite a considerable dent in this. Keep in mind, I love J.U.S. I have a lot of their fragrances. I haven't tried their super new ones yet, but this was a definite favorite for me, and I absolutely loved pairing it with Melon Kiss. And then, of course, another fragrance that I really did enjoy was Mallow by Sora Dora. This is so beautiful. This is an absolutely stunning orange blossom fruity fragrance that also has a kind of like a violet marshmallow note. This smells to a lot of people like violet marshmallows, and I have to agree. This perfume plays with that trend that was pretty popular in 2024 of kind of like a powdery violet marshmallow orange blossom fragrance. But in my opinion, this is the best interpretation of that trend that I tried all year. And I've tried a few. I've tried the really popular ones. I've tried the affordable, the expensive, and this was by far the best in my opinion. This was sent to me, but I, to be honest, fell in love with Sora Dora this year. They have some truly amazing options. Their fragrances are super high quality, luxurious, and I love this one. This smells so incredibly delicious. It's also a powerhouse as well. This is beautiful. So this launched, I think, earlier this year, and people kind of stopped talking about it, but I personally never stopped loving this fragrance. This is so good, and it's an absolute favorite for me. You can also save, I think, 10% with my code Anya10 in all caps. That is an affiliate code, but I would especially recommend using that code on their discovery set. They have a really good discovery set and a lot of really interesting new releases. If you want to check that out, definitely do so. This is beautiful. I love this perfume. Oh my gosh, okay, I almost forgot to mention this because this was actually a fragrance that I also was wearing a lot last summer, and I will continue to love this fragrance. I just know it. It's so good. It's absolutely amazing. This is Marissa Zappa's Annabelle's Birthday Cake. Wow, it's so dark in here. Okay, that's better. Yeah, see, I'm still working with the setup, but this is Marissa Zappa's Annabelle's Birthday Cake. I bought this fragrance before they did the whole rebrand, because this used to be the old packaging. Now they have a new take on their bottle design, and I definitely want to get a new bottle with their new bottle design, but this is the original one. I bought this myself, of course. Okay, this is like a very interesting gourmand. So this has latex balloons, which is of course a fantasy note, in the scent pyramid, but it's also supposed to represent a child's birthday party, right? So you also do have like this funfetti frosting vibe to it. It's very interesting, and I think it's like an edgy way of doing a gourmand that I found very magnetic. Like, I was wearing this fragrance a lot. I was layering it with pretty much all of these. Yeah, I was wearing these interchangeably. These fragrances, they all smell completely different, but there's something about them that works like well together. So if you're looking for a layering combo, any one of these fragrances layered with each other would work really well. I almost had a heart attack. That was scary. I do not want to break any of these because I love them and they're my babies. Next up is Pernoire's fragrance. I'm going to tell you that Pernoire actually did have a lot of really interesting new releases this year. They had Kama, which is this one. They also had Polka, which was a limited edition kind of popcorn apple fragrance. I have not smelled that one yet, but they also had Otimo, which went a little bit viral because people really loved that one. That was a really interesting vanilla tobacco fragrance. I have it, I love it, but the fragrance that really stole the show for me was Kama. And this was the very first fragrance that I tried from Pernoire, and I went like, whoa. Because I actually had the chance to try this brand when I went to Essence, and I met the founders, wonderful people, but I also smelled through the fragrances that they had available at the time, and this one stood out to me the most. I fell in love with this fragrance on the spot. Coming away from Essence, this was easily my top 3 fragrances, like one of my top 3 fragrances that I discovered during that entire event. And still, to this day, this perfume, in my opinion, is the best from the brand. And it's probably not the most popular, but in my opinion, it's the best. This has really interesting notes of leather, blackberry, birch tar, and I think cotton candy. And it has a really interesting way of taking all those notes and putting them together in a fragrance that's very people-pleasing, but it still smells unique, and it still smells super special. And this is, by the way, super unisex. I think anyone can get away with this. This is such an interesting fragrance. The leather in here is kind of like a clean leather. It's not very animalic at all. It's a very clean, smooth leather. And I have received compliments on this one from literally across the room. This is one of those like cool girl, cool guy scents. I really, really love this. It's unusual, but it's not polarizing. I don't think anyone could really hate this fragrance unless you really don't like any of the notes I just listed. But I'm actually about to film a video talking about leather fragrance notes because I do think that leather fragrances in general tend to get a lot of, I would say, almost negative attention. People tend to be very intimidated by the leather note, but I find leather can be a very easy way to come off as very, cool and put together. And I love leather fragrances for that reason. But this was absolutely stunning. I just fell in love with this fragrance. It's so incredibly good. And I think if you find yourself intrigued by this scent profile, definitely get their discovery set. They did send this fragrance to me, and I also do have a code available with the brand. I think you can use my code ANYADK in all caps to get 20% off the discovery set. And I do think that discovery set also comes with a voucher that you can put toward another full bottle purchase. So yeah, definitely recommend using my code and trying out their discovery set. They have a variety of really interesting fragrances, but the way they do their blends, in my opinion, is very approachable. Some of their notes you might be thinking, wow, this is really interesting, but I would definitely recommend getting the discovery set. I think you'll really enjoy that one. Next up is a really interesting one. This is Ariel Shoshana's Tuesday. Now, I find myself very lucky to actually live pretty close to the Ariel Shoshana boutique in Virginia, and I go there all the time. I try to go to all their events whenever I can, and they were developing this fragrance this year, and I knew they were launching a Tuesday fragrance. And I was pretty interested in, smelling it because I love a bunch of their fragrances. I think they have some really interesting and still approachable blends that I really find beautiful. But this perfume, in my opinion, is arguably the best launch that they have introduced so far. And keep in mind, they have some amazing fragrances. I did a full video talking about their entire collection, but Ariel Shoshana Tuesday is one of those perfumes that you need to try out if you want something unusual and still something that smells very magnetic. And let me explain. So this has notes of mint, tea, and what else? Coconut water, guava. This is a perfume that's kind of herbal, tea-like, very strong on the tea notes. But also the other thing that I really love about this is that this lasts a really long time and the sillage is phenomenal. So right now it's very cold here in my area. I live in the Northeast. It's quite cold. This perfume is still appropriate to wear, in my opinion, around this time of year. And that's not always the case with a tea fragrance. There's something about this perfume that you just spray on like 3 sprays and it will last all day. And I love that because that is not the case with every other tea fragrance that I've tried. I've tried a few tea fragrances. Sometimes they stay a little bit close to the skin. They're quite moderate, which is fine. But when I tried this perfume, I was so shocked by how much of a powerhouse this fragrance was. I was not expecting that whatsoever, especially when looking at the notes. I tried this, it was love at first sniff. I knew I was going to love it when I tried it. I was like, this is amazing. I wore, I think, the entire first week that I got it, and I still think it's a really, really interesting one that you need to try. I also had the pleasure of going to their store for the launch party of Tuesday, and during that event, they had the mods that they used to create this perfume on display for the guests to test and experience. And honestly, after smelling all the mods that they went through, this was the perfect version. Like they went in such a good direction with this fragrance. Like this was the best, in my opinion, that they could have done. And I'm so glad to have this bottle. This is truly one of those more unusual but still very special fragrances that I really think should be on your radar. This is beautiful. If you love herbal tea scents, but you want something that's a little bit more of a statement, this is fantastic. And they've also updated their discovery set, by the way, to include Tuesday, so you're able to try all 5 of their fragrances so far. So this is an absolutely stunning perfume, and I'm so glad to have it in my collection. Okay, so I actually tried a lot of gourmand fragrances this year, and if you look at the fragrances in this video, some of them have gourmand notes, but most of these perfumes have twists on the gourmand fragrance profile in a way that's like makes them very unusual and quite special. This is a pretty straightforward gourmand perfume that I'm about to share with you, but what I like about this is that it's photorealistic, but it still smells like a perfume. So it's not going to smell like a dessert. It's still going to smell like an actual fragrance, which I do appreciate, and that's something I've been gravitating towards. This is Chabaud's Mon Tiramisu. I fell in love with this fragrance and with this brand in general, but in my opinion, this is one of their best releases, or one of their best fragrances that they have available currently, and it's my favorite from the brand at the moment. This is a perfume that is, this is called Mon Tiramisu. This is a perfume that's supposed to evoke the idea of tiramisu, but what I like about this is that it still smells like a perfume. So it's not going to smell like a chocolate milkshake. It's going, or like a straight up tiramisu. It's just going to smell like tiramisu, but you can tell that it's meant to be a fragrance. So this perfume plays with coffee, cocoa notes. There's also a lactonic accord in here that I find absolutely beautiful, and you definitely smell like the biscuits with the tiramisu in this perfume. It's one of those cozy gourmand fragrances that just smells really beautiful. If you are someone who really loves lactonic notes, I'd also definitely recommend trying out Chabaud as a brand. They have some really beautiful options. This one was sent to me, and I do have a code available with the brand, Anya 10 in all caps, I believe. So that's an affiliate code, but I do recommend trying their discovery set. They have, I think, like sets of 3 or 4 travel size fragrances in their discovery sets. You get 10 milliliters of each perfume, which is absolutely amazing, and the price point for their brand is also pretty affordable. This will run you like around $110, which is pretty good for a niche perfume. So this is what I like to call affordable niche, and it smells absolutely beautiful. So Chabaud's Mon Tiramisu, this was an absolutely gorgeous gourmand that I very much enjoyed. So these next fragrances are perfumes that I haven't had for a very long time. I went to Scent Explore, and when I was at Scent Explore, I tried a bunch of fragrances, and there were a few standouts, and I would say, because these are perfumes that I tried in 2024, I still want to include them in this video. I still think that they deserve a place in this video, but keep in mind, I haven't had these perfumes for too long. But I like to start this off with Lark's Calda. This was a perfume that launched in 2024, but I only tried it in December. But this is a perfume that plays around with like really fun gourmand notes, but the way it's executed is very elegant and beautiful. So this fragrance features notes of lychee, cotton candy, strawberry, champagne. It's a fruity perfume with a slight green element to it, and it's also a powdery fragrance. But it's not as powdery as, say, cherry powder. This is like explicitly powdery. This is kind of like powdery in the background. There's like a powdery, fruity musk to it that I find absolutely beautiful. I tried this. It was love at first sniff. I decided to buy it on the spot. I love this perfume. This smells delicious. And at this point, to be honest, after trying thousands of perfumes, whenever I come across a gourmand fragrance, if I'm going to pay a certain amount of money for it, if I'm going to include it in my collection, I want it to kind of smell like high quality. And to me, this smells high quality. It's kind of like, Delina Exclusive, or like the Delina family. This is like their very, very, very distant cousin, twice removed. Not saying that it's duping it by any means. It's not what I'm saying at all. But when you think of that fruity kind of lychee musk element, this is evoking that slightly. So I really do like it. It's kind of like a green, sparkly version of that scent profile because of the cassis note in there. I think it comes off as slightly green, but I really do love it. I think it's a really beautiful fragrance. So Lark's Calda, I would recommend getting a decant of this first, but I did have a chance to try it in person and I really did enjoy it. Next, I have a fragrance by Une Nuit Nomade. Une Nuit Nomade, honestly, is one of my favorite fragrance brands out there, especially in the niche category. They have some truly wonderful options, and this year they released their Extraits collection. So this is a collection that's slightly more elevated than their usual line, and they have 3 fragrances in this collection so far. They have Jardin de Misva, the Extrait version, Estrella de la Mañana, which is absolutely gorgeous. That's a very interesting play on like the cocoa note. And then Silver Saffron, which is the one I have. This is the one they sent to me. This is a really interesting fragrance that plays with leather, well, or a leather accord rather. I'll get more into that later. Papyrus, iris, a bit of raspberry. Let me look up the notes. This is a really interesting one. So there's raspberry, iris, saffron, papyrus, and myrrh. I think the combination of the iris and the myrrh give this perfume a leathery accord. When I smelled it, I was definitely getting that leathery accord, and then I looked and I realized leather wasn't listed. So I definitely think that leather interpretation comes from like the myrrh, maybe with the papyrus and iris, but this is a heavy hitting fragrance, by the way. A little bit of this goes a long way. This is an extrait concentration, meaning it will last a really, really long time. This is a potent perfume. And I really do love like the look of it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. This is such a beautiful design on the bottle. And this essentially smells like straight up like fruity raspberry with those spicy, slightly animalic accords. It is a very unusual scent. I would definitely not blind by this, but I really did find myself drawn to this perfume. I really do like it, but I also really enjoy leather fragrances. So this is a beast mode powerhouse. You definitely do get a lot of wear out of this fragrance in my opinion, because this is a fragrance that will last for days. Like if you spray it on clothes, it will last for days, and even on my skin, it lasts the entire day until I take a shower. This is a potent fragrance, and they do have a discovery set available, by the way, for this collection. It is 45 euros, but keep in mind, you get the 3 extrait perfumes in the collection in the discovery set, but then you also get a 45 euro voucher that you can use towards any Une Nuit Nomade purchase. So even if you are curious about the extrait collection and you want to try it out, you can still use that voucher on any other fragrances from Une Nuit Nomade. And you can also, I think, still bundle their existing discovery set from their regular collection and the new one and still get some money off with your future purchase. So I do have a code with them. Again, it's Anya 10. I keep wanting to tell you about the codes because I do want you to save some money. You don't have to use the codes, but I know personally when I'm shopping, especially for niche fragrances, I'm always looking for a code. So I feel like it's helpful. So that's why I keep talking about it. But Silver Saffron, this was definitely a standout fragrance for me. Next is the fragrance by Arist. This is a perfume that was love at first sniff. And to be honest, I was not expecting it to be love at first sniff because looking at the fragrance notes, I wasn't thinking that I would love it. I knew that I would probably like it, but I didn't think I would fall in love with it, and that's exactly what ended up happening when I smelled this perfume for the first time at Scent Explore. I just fell for this fragrance so hard, and I ended up purchasing this on the spot. I did that a lot at Scent Explore, but this is a perfume that has green notes, but there's like a kind of like a buttery scent to it that's very intriguing. So let me actually pull up the notes so I can tell you a little bit more about this. I haven't done that for a lot of these fragrances, but I feel like, you know, I can do it for this one. But this is a perfume that has woody aromatic accords. It has top notes of olive. It has top notes of olive, fig leaf, fennel, salt, and clementine, a mid of olive, fig, rosemary, and thyme, and then a base of balsam fir, pine needles, cypress, and clay. So this perfume, and this is my interpretation, it comes off as very aromatic in the opening with some fig, some of those herbal notes, but then it settles and dries down into something that I can only describe as smelling a little bit like olive oil. And I know that sounds so odd, but let me actually spray this on right now. Oh my gosh, I love this. I love this perfume. Okay, so in the opening, when I sprayed this on my hand, it smelled kind of like peppery herbal, you know, like your thyme, rosemary, fig, that sort of thing. But then the dry down is when I'm getting something that's like very, I don't want to say buttery in the sense of straight up butter, but think like a delicious, luxurious moisturizer or like olive oil for like the face or like your body, like something like that. Think of that packaged in a perfume bottle with a few extra notes. That's what I get with this fragrance, and I love it. It's so beautiful. So it's definitely not a beast performer, but it lingers on the skin for quite a bit. I really do enjoy it. And it's one of those fragrances that's like very, it's more unusual. It's a perfume that I think you'll like if you like Salted Muse by Orbella. So think Salted Muse, but the more elevated, complex version of that perfume. This is beautiful. I love it. I'm looking forward to wearing it even more in 2025. This is stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous. All right, so those are all the fragrances I wanted to talk about today. Absolutely love each and every single one of these fragrances. I think they're so unusual and interesting and yet still very wearable. These are perfumes that truly blew me away when I was wearing them and playing with them this year. So let me know, have you tried any of these fragrances? And if so, what do you think? Are you looking forward to testing some of these perfumes out for yourself? But yeah, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.